Craig Martelle coming to you live from the subarctic, where we're going to go to Costco later this morning, so I'm wearing my dressy sweats already. It gets light around 8 a.m. now, and it's still kind of light by 5 p.m. Yeah, you're all jealous. Where are you coming to us from, Michael?
So once again from Henderson, right outside Las Vegas, so 25 minutes off the Strip. It's a beautifully cold morning. Humidity is there a little bit. It's been raining the last week and a half or so, but right now, blue skies, beautiful sunlight bouncing off of the houses in the distance. And it's your turn, Dakota. Where are you coming from?
I'm coming from Kansas City, so moved away from the frozen north. I figured that's why. Never mind. I saw you fix the event. It had my name off it, so I thought you were taking off because you knew I was no longer in Canada, right? No, so yeah, I'm in Kansas City now, so that's a big jump south for me, and I'm pretty happy about that. Yeah, but it is thunderstorming here, or if not thunderstorming, I'm just hearing a lot of noises with the rain.
Amazing. So, Craig, you are. What did you accomplish this week? I understand you were finishing out a third book.
Oh, geez, this week published a book on Monday, Sword and Sorcery Epic, 92,000 words. Published a book on Thursday, 98,500 words. Opened up a 20 Books Vegas registration today. And for general populace, we have over 100 people registered this morning. 400 rooms were available under our room block. And also, I'm giving away the complete Successful Indie Author Series, all 5 books, this weekend for free. So, check in 20 books. Go get all 5 books. See my super cool one-click code to add them all to your to your cart. And there you go.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm signed up. Much more of the people that aren't going to be able to make it in our company are all looking forward to seeing it. And I'm starting to see the people, that are getting excited. Someone on 20 Books is like, I bought a new hat. Thought that was a little bit strange. But Dakota, how are you doing? What's going on your week this week? And by the way, if you don't know who Dakota Krout is, well, I guess you haven't been paying much attention, but Dakota Krout is one of the authors predominantly in the LitRPG realm. I don't actually know. Do you guys at Mountaindale have outside LitRPG books?
Yeah, so we do LitRPG and GameLit and Cultivation. Okay. So those 3, and they're all really similar. The big thing there is that they're all progression fantasy. So they're mostly a hard magic system, so that you see those numbers, so that you can watch the progression from the start to the finish, right? So not a lot of hand wavium is allowed.
No. Love hand wavium.
I know.
Love
it's so beautiful.
Hand wavium.
No,
actually,
wait
a minute. You're acting as if you couldn't juice the numbers just for the hell of it.
No, hey, man, here, I'll tell you, my setup right here, I don't even have to move because these are always in front of me, my dice. Like, oh yeah, the dice determine, man.
Do you ever do that to Danielle, your wife? Will I go with you? Hold on.
I plead the 5th. She perks up when she hears a dice roll when we're talking, but yeah. So no, this week actually I finished 2 books. So I finished the next in my Completionist Chronicles, which is going to be out in March, and then I finished another in a collaborative series. So Artorian's Archives.
What kind of work?
What's going on?
What kind of work are you looking at Completion Chronicles?
So with Completionist Chronicles, after editing, it looks like about 117,000 words. Okay. And then with the Artorian's Archives one, it was about 125. So.
Okay.
And just to clarify, for those that are new to this podcast or watching it in the future that don't know yet, you guys are talking about finishing books that you have been working on for weeks, not this week.
Oh yeah, Jesus. Yeah, I wrote all the fall. I didn't publish anything from the beginning of September, well beyond the election, because it was a complete shit show. I know I promised no swearing, but I don't know any other term. I don't know any other term that could describe that. So all of that, and it really impacted sales 4 years ago. You see, being old men in the industry. Yeah.
He's lost his hair. He used to have a beautiful amount of hair up here. And we see Dakota already is starting to go down to that direction with his age in here as well.
I mean, I just have a huge forehead.
Yeah. So 4 years ago, we took that lesson of sales are going to tank because people are grossly distracted. And then I published that first book on November 30th, published a book December 26th, and then 2 in January. So 4 books in that. But I write the equivalent enough for about a book each month. So if I don't publish, it just means I'm banking. And so that's what this month was all about.
And did you have any special marketing efforts to try to support those?
I did on my thrillers. I did a lot of marketing, but it was full price marketing. I didn't really put stuff on sale, and that made some impact. And I have consistent, solid sales. But I have when book 3 of that thriller, I'm at 52,000 words on book 3. I'll finish that in about a week, and when that hits in the middle of March, then I have all the big major promo sites. For book 1 will be free, book 2 will be $2.99, and book 3 will be $4.99. Trying to bring those readers on board into my thriller side of the business. But otherwise, the book that just published on Thursday, that co-written with Michael, the 11th in our Space Lawyer series, that one is rocking a free world. That one does so well that I'll write a book, and then I got to write a Space Lawyer book because they're easy to write. I love the characters, and they make a lot of money. And then I write another book, and then I got to write another Space Lawyer series because the fans are they demand them. And I know Dakota has some rabid fans. So what do you
Demanding.
What do you do differently? How have you built that platform to get your fans so engaged?
Oh, I mean, it's an interesting thing because to me, it's just like the natural progression, right? So we started with a really heavy focus in relational marketing, right? So that means being available to fans. I actually work publicly, right? So on my Discord, I have a Discord channel where 5 days a week I'm in there and I stream as I'm typing, right? So people can come in, they can tell me if I'm doing something stupid, stuff like that. Hold
on. Let me unpack this. Are you putting the words that you're typing up on the screen as you type them?
Yes.
That's fucking weird, man.
No, I know of a couple of others, but I just kind of clued into the fact. So, we do the just in time, and we had done that. So if you're talking about instantaneous beta reading and feedback, let's just qualify this as a unique way of beta reading feedback.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's just like every once in a while I'll let other people, because normally what I do is I mute the channel so no one else can talk while I'm working because it's super distracting. But then usually like at the end of a chapter I'll turn on talking again and I'll be like, hey guys, how'd you like that chapter? And the people that were there like it or they don't like it, and really depends. But yeah, I mean with every social media site that we do, so Facebook or like pretty much anything, right? We try really hard to have a big focus on the fan experience, right? So it's not just about having a great book. It's not just about having the best words. It's about making sure that the fans like me, the author, right? So that they can relate to me, that they can talk to me, that they don't feel like super awkward. Well, a lot of people still feel pretty awkward when talking to me. I don't know why. I'm sure you've seen people will come up to you and be like, oh my God, it's actually Craig Martelle in the flesh. I don't know if I can talk to you. And I get a lot of that, but the internet as a, kind of a wall between us tends to let people open up a little better.
There's Michael Anderle.
Right? There he is.
Hey man, look at that. They do that to me and I'm like, oh man, but Michael's here. Look, there he is, over there. He loves talking to people while he goes to the bathroom.
Okay, I've never had that happen, and apparently you have.
Yeah, it's weird.
Is that why you have the disclaimer at 20 Books Vegas? Do not follow people into the bathroom and talk to them?
It's weird and oddly uncomfortable.
Oddly.
I don't know why it's oddly. I mean, you can just leave that as uncomfortable. Yeah.
So I want to get this. I want to get this out before we go too much further. Although it's a massive jump in our conversation because this was what was relevant. Last time we were speaking a couple of weeks ago, we talked about audio. And
Sure.
Dakota, I happen to know you guys are killing it in audio. And I don't want to speak for you, but are there any things that you can take from y'all's success and giving some kind of parameter around that success that you can help those who might listen to this podcast on audio? Or
Yeah, a
don't.
few things.
Yeah, don't.
No,
do it.
a couple of things. So again, I'm gonna steal one of Michael's words here. I'm gonna go hashtag probably. So my thing here is that what works for me does not always work for everyone else, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to other authors, so there's a huge amount of people, especially in this group or potentially that would watch this, that are looking into they're planning on self-publishing, right? I mean, kind of the whole thing here. Now, a lot of people will be working with a company that is like really trustworthy, like LMBPN, right? Like, I know I trust you guys. I know I work with you on some projects. So like I know that you guys don't dick
And just
people
to
around.
clarify, just because he trusts us doesn't mean he doesn't go through the contracts to see every T is
Very
crossed, I is dotted.
Well,
That's
yeah. Well, yeah, it's not, in that case, it's not about you. It's about what someone else might decide down the line, right? Like, oh, well, this
Yep.
word here is not capitalized, so it doesn't matter. No, that's incorrect. Like it matters.
Well, it's
And
the heirs. You're writing contracts for the heirs because I have contracts with Michael, and it's a partnership, it's a collaboration, it's a friendship.
Mhm.
But we are both going to move on at some point, and what will our heirs then define the contract as?
Mhm.
As I've seen from the Steinbeck lawsuit, which was originated here in Alaska for some ungodly reason, and the heirs are still fighting over that money. I mean, decades after his death, and
crazy.
they're talking 200,000 a year is what his books make, and I'm like, oh, hey, I make more than that, but the heirs are fighting over this, and so that's and it's like, it's not about us, and it's not the heirs, it's the spouses to the heirs, and it's ex-spouses. It's really ridiculous in how far it goes. So that's why contracts, you can do a handshake, you can be friends, but your contracts really need to be solid.
Yep. So yeah, and so I actually had, right now I can talk from actually just a direct experience that I had just recently. I had someone who actually I noticed them because they were saying how they heard that our contracts weren't great. And so I popped in, and because I'm going to not let that stand. And I was like, okay, so tell me what's the difference between mine and yours that you've heard of. And he said, well, I hear that you don't give people royalties until their advance is paid off. Yes, that is accurate. Like, because the advance gets paid off because it's an advance on royalties. Like that's the whole deal. And they said, well, I get income immediately, and so they're not recouping their losses. And I said, okay, well, let me, because that's kind of like what we do. Part of our advances, like editing and artwork, right? And I say, okay, well, let me ask you this. Do you have an escalation clause in your contracts? They said, well, yes, I do. And I said, well, what does it do? Well, it goes from, X amount to X amount. And I said, okay, well, let's do the math here. For this many copies, at this much of a royalty rate, because that's, they said, like, this is how much I'm getting per book that is sold. I said, so it looks like if you would have come with us, you would have had your 50% royalty rate taking down this chunk of money, whereas you're getting this much up front, but they're keeping this much. So the difference was like $6,000, right? That the other company was actually getting that from them that they would have gotten from me for the same amount of books sold. And I said, okay, well, at the end of your contract, since you have this escalation clause, do you then get all that back? Do you get the artwork? Do you get the editing? Is it yours at the end of the day? Well, it's not in the contract. Well, then it's not yours. So I said, so that's the thing. Like, yeah, part of that advance that they're getting from us is paying that off, but that means that at the end of the day, they walk away with it, right? They walk away with all of that work done, it is theirs. If they if they meet the term of the contract, then it's theirs. They walk away if they want to. With all these so many other people, it's like, okay, well, here, like you gave us a raw file, that's what you get back. Like, sure, but this work is ours over here. Escalation policy or no, doesn't matter. And it's just one of those things where little clauses, you had to kind of know the reasoning behind them and negotiate in your favor. It's not always that's going to work out. Like sometimes, like I want to own the audio files, or there is a deal with narrators where you can't give those rights to someone else, right? And it's not with everyone, but it's something to look into. It's a ton of research. But if you can, like figure out if you want to be with this company forever. Because if not, then you have, when you do leave and you don't get like audio files, right? If you can't buy them back, or if they won't, or whatever the case may be, and then you want to, publish those out on your own, you're going to have to re-record them, right? So all these, there's so many little things to look into, but just try to understand the reasoning behind the contracts that you're signing, and that's one of the biggest advice pieces I can give on that. So if you had a specific question there, like how do I make sales?
So we've spoken before about the interesting changes in podcasting and narrator acquisition. And that's changed, I think, pretty dramatically in the last 18 months to 24 months compared to, 4 years ago when we started looking into it. And so the cost of certain narrators are going up because there's, think of it like a stock market where all of a sudden a certain narrator stock is, really being purchased, and they push it up. And then some of the narrators are like, well, this is now what I want, because they can request it. They are so much in demand, they can request certain things. And if you want that narrator, where's the stopping point for, Mountaindale before you guys are like, yeah, that's not what we're willing to do. We'll go find somebody else.
Sure. So I can say that for us this year, audio moved up almost 20% of what it used to be for our total income. So it moved to like 54% of our total income this year was audio, right? Yeah, I mean, that was wild to see that shift, because I remember 2 years ago it was like 25 to 30% maybe. So it's a growing market. I mean, that's one of the big things. Really, on my end, what I look for is people who are going to work with us. And I don't mean just in the terms of like, yeah, they'll do some work. I mean, like they'll, get back to you on like quality stuff. They'll fix errors. They'll, open a line of communication beyond, here are the files. Okay. Well, I need more than that. So when it comes to like professional narrators, because I've seen stuff like, certain companies who are getting, I think Felicia Day is one of the big things that was recently, I think it was like Podium signed Felicia Day to do some books. And I mean, that's cool, but are the fans of Felicia Day the fans of whatever that genre is going to be? And it's hard to know for sure. With us, when we're looking for narrators, we usually work really closely with our author to say, does this person have a voice that you can really see your characters having? And so it's not about the person's fame, because that might help if they have a huge following in narration and all these other things. It might help with like advertising, marketing style, but is it going to help the target audience? And it's hard to say for sure. With one of my most recent series, it was For Something, right? So the book title is Something, right? I pulled on a narrator who was an author at my company first, and then he decided he wanted to do narrating. And that audiobook just absolutely exploded, like went absolutely crazy, to the point where, like, I think within a week after coming out, he had offers on the table from Podium and Tantor and a whole bunch of other authors. And it was just, fact of the matter was, it just he really did well for the genre. So it's hard to say beyond, make sure that it's your book's voice more than this person is famous, right? I think that's going to be the biggest thing with picking narrators or bringing them on. So,
and then Podium has contract with R.C. Bray, who is the biggest name in science fiction, and I don't know what people are paying for him, but I suspect it's upwards of a couple grand per finished hour. Sure. Is what the price will be. And I know we tried to get a famous person. We didn't get Nathan Fillion. Yuta did. And I don't know what that cost, but that rocketed that book to the top of the charts and kept it there for quite a while. And let me address some of these comments. Facebook user, my name is showing. Okay, thanks. No, it's not showing for us. How do we see if our name is showing? No, we don't know, Facebook user, because it's not. I don't understand that, Facebook user. Anyway, so it's only we will know if they're showing or not. Elaine's name is showing. Who else has shown up? Thank you, everybody, for Deb Jensen is showing, watching us on YouTube. Vinny, thanks. Justin, thanks for listening in today. And everybody else is Facebook user to us. So it recommends Chrome. Chrome is the best interface for Be Live, which is the system we're using. All right, so there we are. Now 30 people are going to, I told you who does, everybody else is not. So anyway, all 30 people, no, your Facebook user to me. To us, because that's what we see as part of this screen. The audio is one part of the element. You talked about live streaming on Discord, your writing process.
Yes.
And as weird as that sounds, first, I couldn't possibly do that because I don't have the bandwidth. I can't stream full time here because I pay $750 for really bad internet, but it's what I got. So because of where I live, because I don't live in Kansas City. Mm-hmm. That engagement, I think you do a lot of giveaways and other things with your fans. Yes. Talk about some of that stuff, if you would.
Sure. So a lot of it is branding, right? So when you we do a lot of giveaways, and when we first started, we did a lot of giveaways of stuff like Kindle Unlimited subscriptions or Kindle devices like Kindle Fire, all this stuff. And in the last year or so, we've really switched that focus over to be Mountaindale Press branded stuff, right? So that's my publishing company is Mountaindale Press. For anyone who didn't know, and the doing that branded stuff, not only does it give the people who are winning something cool, like, I mean, I like Under Armour shirts and they're super comfy, right? Or I got a cool Bluetooth speaker from LMBPN yesterday in the mail. That was really cool. And like every time I look at it or every time I use it, I'm going to see the LMBPN, right? And it's like these things that are useful, comfortable, or whatever it is. For instance, in 2020, I'm going to show this one off. So I have a line of glasses, Dakota Krout glasses, right? So I did my
okay, that was a boss move. I mean, I got it.
Dude, it was awesome. I have probably 30 people that I gave glasses away to last year in the 2020 initiative, right? So it's their glasses, it's their it's their prescription, it's this frame. So if you don't think they're waking up and seeing my name or having people look at them and say, hey, your name's not Dakota Krout, why are you wearing those? It's all stuff that gets your name out there, right? In this case, literally, right? So focus more in on your brand. It's not only is it less expensive to send all that stuff because you can get it because you're making it yourself, or getting it made or at cost, whatever it is, and then shipping it. It's helping your own personal brand versus someone else who might not need it. Like Amazon doesn't need me to sell their subscriptions. They have plenty, kind of where I'm going to stop right there.
You used to do pizzas too, I believe.
Say it again.
You used to do pizzas too.
Oh yeah. Well, we would do like pizza parties, right? So I would start a giveaway. I'll say, hey guys, I want 10 people who want a pizza tonight and also to play video games with me. right? And so that's what we do is I would send a pizza to their house. I'd try and time it so that it would get there about the same time, and then we'd play a multiplayer game and just go out and play video games and stream that. And that was, that's a fun thing because the people that I talk to or get to watch me on my Discord or talk to on Facebook or Facebook Lives, all this other stuff, then get a pizza from me and get to hang out with me directly, and I get to hang out with them. It's a pretty win-win situation. So yeah, there's all crazy amount of things you can do to really engage with your fans.
So Super Nintendo Zelda has never seen getting its wires rocked like you guys do, huh?
Craig.
Pong?
Go other direction, Craig.
Oh, man.
I'm still trying to figure. Because I want the new Xbox Series X. I'm an Xbox guy. I'm not a PS guy, and that has to do with their controllers from way back in the beginning. And I still can't get any. At least last week when I checked, still not available. Any thoughts on when the new Xboxes are going to come in there, Mr. Trout?
For me, I don't really play that like console stuff. And honestly, like I would recommend books over other systems any day. Like it's my competition. My competition isn't you, right? My competition isn't you. My competition is getting people off of Netflix. It's getting them off of Xbox. It's getting them away from other amusement sites or AMUs, entertainment without thought, getting them into our books where they read through stuff, they want to engage and be a part of the story going forward, right? And that's really what I try to do is get them away from amusement into entertainment. So yeah.
And what is your Discord channel? Coming from Elaine, a question.
So I say it again?
Elaine is asking, what is your Discord channel?
So it's called Eternium. So if you'd like, I can throw a link in there if you would like. Like
the digital coin?
AETER?
No, it's ET. So okay. Hang on, it's ETERNIUM, and that's just here. I can throw a comment in.
Well, somebody also we got people.
Well, it's. I have links, so they used to be there. They threw it in. But yeah, if you want to go, anyone can join. But it's.
Somebody asked another question about streaming on Twitch using your phone.
Don't, I guess.
Streaming on other systems using your phone while writing on an iPad or something like that.
Usually I don't. I could multicast, I guess. I just typically don't. I am of the mindset where I would really like to have just a couple of social media sites that I focus on really heavily, and then when I get really good at those, maybe add on another one. But if I have someone to manage the stuff that's coming through there, gets easier. But if I split my attention too many ways, it's just gonna turn into me doing that all the time instead of actually getting any work done. And that's not something.
That doesn't work very well in your company.
No.
No. How many words a week do you get? What do you shoot for, Dakota?
So I try for 5,000 words a day. Sometimes I get more than that, sometimes a little less, but on average about 5. And then I do split my time between, the company stuff and working on my own personal books. So usually anywhere from, I'd say 23 to 28,000 words a week. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Good. Yeah.
So I have a couple of questions. One of them that I'd like to clarify is we had talked about LitRPG, game lit, and
cultivation.
And a little bit of the difference. For myself, I was very confused because I heard about LitRPG, and then we could go back sometime other and talk about all of the crap that went on with that. But game lit is kind of a superset. LitRPG would be considered one aspect of game lit. Is that correct? Excuse me. Yes. No, that's right.
So it really depends. So it's more of a group politics thing than it is anything else. So I believe the term LitRPG was coined first, but that was a Russian thing. So like Russia had used the start of LitRPG. So in America, then people got into writing in the genre. And then another group started on Facebook. Right.
Right.
And
I guess I don't want to get involved into the politics of it. So
Sure.
I'm actually asking from a definition standpoint. My understanding of LitRPG and asking a few people is it's very specific, and you have crunchy
Mhm.
LitRPG, and then
Sure.
you have everything else, which will cause you all sorts of problems because they want crunchy LitRPG.
Right.
And then and then you have game lit, which kind of encompasses things like, Portal fantasy,
Sure. Yes.
game based, not crunchy, not specifically lit. So to me, in my mind, game lit from a definition standpoint was a lot broader.
Sure.
Is that
And
fair?
and I would agree with that in the terms that like LitRPG is like literally it means literary role playing games. And so if you have game lit, then you can have that. You can have first person shooter books. You can have Portal fantasy as you're talking about. So you can go from cold weapons to hot weapons real easy under game lit, right? So yes, umbrella style, it would be game lit, and then LitRPG would be a category in that, which is funny because one came first. That's all I was trying to get at. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to go because there is so many things on the politics and stuff, which is not what we're interested in talking about.
No.
And then also, do you find yourself a gregarious person? Because the whole idea of creating a Discord channel and, typing and doing my work right there and then opening it up causes hives. And I'm like, is it an age thing with me? I'm like, am I really that guy that is now, get off my lawn, like Martelle is? And actually, he just has no lawn that people wish to go to because it's frozen 10 degrees underneath. But, or is it a personality thing, or are you having to make yourself do
No.
this?
So, all right. All right. So I'll answer your question with a question. Before pandemic, why did people go to Starbucks to write? Right? Or coffee shops in general? Sure.
I can't write.
I didn't go.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine. Never mind.
Okay,
So,
No.
guys,
I went out in order to have it was an interesting phrase given to me one time. I had a conversation called separately alone or
Yes.
together alone. So you're alone
exactly
in the coffee shop, but there's people around you. And so, yeah, I dig on that vibe. So that's what you're saying. That's
Yes.
how it's helping you.
So you can tune people out. So for me, the actual act of tuning out that there are people around me makes me focus on this thing, right? So I say, if I want to focus, I need other distractions that are trying to distract me, and I need to specifically ignore them and work, and then I get tons of work done. Otherwise, I get, mediocre amount of work done. And that's just kind of thing. Like it might just be me, might just be my personality. The other thing is that I've never had more than 10 people at a time who are watching, and I can tell you, like, it's not super engrossing because it's like it sounds like that.
And he just wrote a book, folks, right here.
But it sounds like that for like 7 hours. Like there's just 7 hours of clicky clacky because I don't mute my microphone. So they just hear me giggling softly and tapping away at my keyboard. And
giggling, what does that mean?
It's like high pitched laughter. Yeah.
There are statues in museums that type faster than me, so I don't think anybody would want to watch that. Hey, let me point the camera at the wall that I just painted there. They probably think this guy's a moron. He spends more time looking at his keys than he does typing. So yeah, I don't want that memorialized. Well,
the other thing is
anyway.
I don't record and I don't allow recording, right? So
okay.
So there's that. No, if they want to see me make a fool of myself, they have to do it in person.
And then also, if you have music on in the background, it's hard for anybody to hunt you down and file a lawsuit because you love the Frozen soundtrack so much. If you're doing it live, and then and then move on if it's not recorded. There is that. Okay.
Well, also,
I'm just kind of curious, real quick. But what happens if you have someone with Camtasia? They don't need you to turn it off. They can still capture their screen.
Oh, I mean, it's kind of whatever. Like I said, I've never had more than 10 people at a time in there, and no one is there the whole time. I also don't stream the entire book, right? So I'll stream for a couple hours a day. I don't do, especially when I'm getting like near the end of the book, I'll just like turn it off and they can hear me typing, but they can't see the words. And then they can ask me questions and I can kind of describe what's going on, but then they don't get those big spoilers right away. So, yeah.
Oh, you mean like the end of the first book, the pun, or the second book there? Like that one? That what you're talking
You mean
about?
every single book that I've written?
Yes. Yeah, so I didn't realize
Yes.
whenever I was reading Dakota's books, I read his books before I met him. And part of it, and we've had this discussion on other occasions about the first covers being black and white, but I didn't realize he loves puns. And I don't mean just loves puns. He really, really has a wicked fascination, evil to some degree, with puns. And so he set it up so well. So the fucking pun is the very last part, like last sentence, if you will,
Mhm.
of the book. And you're like, you go through that and you go, and then this,
Which
you
is
get
the
this
point.
maniacal laughter.
It actually sounds no matter where you are, actually.
Yeah, that would be hilarious. People reading the book in the middle of the street or walking down us and they hear laughter. It would be good.
What?
Sorry, I just had to go on.
No, I like that.
So what's your plan for 2021?
2021. So I have an actual plan because I have advisors now, so that's always fun. I have, let me see, for 2021, I have of my own books. Well, hang on, I'll do the other one first because I had to create a slicer so I can see this data. Of my own books, I have, I think, 6 coming out this year, right? And so with that, so 6 books, but my company, we have a book a week coming out for the entire year, right? So we have roughly 52, we have like roughly 52 new books coming out, and then we're doing like some box sets and stuff like once a month as well. So it actually turns out to closer to 60 books total this year coming out. So that'll be exciting. It's a fairly large step up from last year. But I think I picked them all individually, right? I pick the authors, I pick the books that we're going to put out. And so I would say in general, I really think that this year is going to be really great for the authors in Mountaindale. They're going to put out their books and they're going to be awesome and really well received. So,
And how is the strain, do you think, going from, how many books did you put out last year? You have the new one, which is going to be about 60. What do you think the strain is going to cost?
well, so in terms of like financial cost,
resources, people.
So the reason that we ramped up this year is that we spent about the last 8 months now training some new people, right? So now we have a project manager, we have a social media manager, we have a ads manager, we have a director of merchandising, and all of those people are focused on their lane, right? And so most of what I do is on the creative side. So like I'll read over outlines and see if there's any like major issues, things that I can help with. I have kind of templated character sheets and stuff that people can use so that they can track their stats and their information really well. So a lot of what I did is automation, right? So I set up a lot of documents that people can use to do their books their own way, but just using a system that's already in place. And so the hope is that on me, there will actually be less strain, right? When many tasks are handled by many people instead of 1 or 2 people, it should be easier, right? So now that they're trained up and they're doing well, and I mean, in the last 2 months, so from December and through January, we've kind of not abdicated, but really heavily stepped back just to see how they would do. And they've been rocking it, like really just hardcore rock star, doing well. So the hope is going forward that will be the norm instead of, not the norm.
Well, one of the things that's going on is you guys, or you particularly, you break everything down and write and Craig, I'm sure, has the right term for this, and you might as well, but you guys write a step-by-step set of instructions on how to do every frickin' thing.
An SOP?
Yes, thank you.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
What's the PLA mean?
So an SOP is standard operating procedure. So I don't know about Craig, but I used to write like technical manuals, or I needed to train troops, right, in the way to do something. And the thing is, if there is a way to mess something up, someone will find it, right? And then they'll say, well, it wasn't in the instructions. And so if you just break everything down and you include pictures, and you can say, okay, where did you go wrong? Did you skip this step with this pretty little picture with hearts around it? Well, then that was probably that's probably the issue right there, right? So yeah, turning everything into kind of formulaic. So try to make a template, and then make an instruction set that goes with the template, so that they can use the template and have instructions. Boom. Another big thing is that quarterly I have so my team, right? So my hires, my people that work for me, employees, that's the word. I have them come to me with a PowerPoint of what they do, right? Because the whole point of it is that they should be able to explain to me very clearly so that I could step in and do the job if I needed to. And then the point of that is when eventually, if we expand further and they have people working under them, they can hand that to the person and say, here's the jobs, follow this step by step. If you have questions, let me know. Otherwise, go. So kind of if anyone has a business degree, it's kind of following the turnkey revolution model, kind of like franchising, that sort of thing. That's the idea behind it, is you put someone in, you make sure the job is very well detailed. They come in and they can do their job and they know what they're doing and there's no ambiguousness. And also they have one person to report to, because for me, the worst jobs I ever had were ones where I had multiple bosses that could all yell at me at different times, or jobs where I had no idea what I was doing, but I was expected to produce, right? And so if I can take care of those things right away by saying, here's your first line leader, here is your job, do your job, any questions go to this person. They should be very happy with what they do. You make sure they have good feedback, kind of rolling feedback, and then, like 6-month yearly reviews. And most people like that. They like to know that they're doing well. They like to know if they're not doing well, how they can improve, before they just all of a sudden are panicking because they're like, I have a review coming up. I don't know if I've been doing well. So it's just, you don't need to know the whole life story, but yeah, that's kind of where we sit.
I apologize, because I thought about this a minute ago, and Craig and I are actually, because we know you well, we're well aware that you're a best-selling author whose books have hit in the top 10 of Amazon and stayed there, who your company and yourself are 7 figures. So, that's maybe not a lot of what a lot of people understand about you, but you're also exceedingly a nice guy. If there was a brand for Dakota Krout, it would be nice guy.
And
yes, at Wikipedia, nice guy, there's Dakota Krout. And so, there's a lot of that. So I apologize.
I'm in good company. So
yeah. Well, yeah, sure. We'll go with that. Yeah, Craig, you're a nice guy.
I think you guys are nice.
Behold, I have become the destroyer of lame diets.
Yes,
so,
yes.
That's nice.
Right here. This is peanut brittle. I was bitching because his dad makes the most wonderful peanut brittle in the world, and I couldn't find it. I was getting lousy peanut brittle. And then I get his box the other day, and inside this box is 2.5 pounds of delicious peanut brittle that that tastes good enough to help me last until the following season this year, when his dad makes peanut brittle again. Except, holy crap, I told him I had inadvertently went back going, this is my last peanut brittle 3 times. I'm like, okay. And that was in 5 minutes. So he's like, I am now, the destructor of lame diets. And I'm like, that's true, but I wouldn't even claim I was on a diet in the first place. But I weigh myself in the morning. And I'm like, if I'm starting to creep back up again, I'm like, okay, we got to stop. We're not going the right direction. We go from there.
Yeah. I started off 2020 needing to lose 15 pounds, and I ended up Hey, pretty good. I only need to lose 20 pounds now, so it's all good.
Well, you did well for a long time, and then what happened? I forget.
The my blood pressure medication. I retain water, so my legs swelled, and I'm like, hey, I'm eating nothing, and I'm gaining weight. What the hell? And then I realized, oh my god, I'm blowing up like a balloon. So yeah. So when people say I can't lose weight, no matter how much I diet, and you look at them, hey, it might be this blood pressure medication, which makes me retain water. So I'll discuss that with my cardiologist in a couple weeks as well, because that sucks. So I'm carrying around a lot of extra weight that I don't need. That with the right medication, I won't have. So there's that. Plus, it's minus 10 out right now, minus 10 Fahrenheit here. So it's not like I'm going out for a walk. So let's do away with the extra water.
Not just because you can walk outside and freeze.
And die. Yeah, it's just walk outside and die.
Well, I don't think we've ever confirmed whether or not if we froze you and learned how to that you just come back to life.
Only if it was in carbamite.
Okay. All right. Oh, good question.
Drool.
Oh, yeah. Star Trek or Star Wars?
Oh,
Dakota.
Man.
Dakota.
You don't even watch Mandalorian. You don't count. Baby Yoda is Star Wars now.
Yeah, well.
Okay, they both have their ups and downs. I'm going to say that if I'm in a more actiony mood, definitely Star Wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I mean, just the sheer size possible is Star Trek. Like that's pretty cool too. Just to be able to like go along and kind of get that slice of life style action. It can be, both are nice.
With the latest episode of Discovery, I think Star Trek claimed over 800 Star Trek episodes for TV and movies. So, a significant universe built there, along with even more books than in the Star Wars universe. And like you were saying earlier, if you can convert a Netflix watcher to a reader, we all win. And this is why it's not competition; it's a collaboration.
Exactly.
Because if you turn a movie watcher into a reader with even a halfway decent imagination, the world is so much richer out of a book than it is on what they see on TV. So we all win. So everybody out there listening to this should strive to turn TV watchers into readers, and then everybody wins.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so the next important question: DC or Marvel?
I don't watch either, so I'm not a good judge of either.
This could go back to comic books, man, Craig. I know you had those when you were a kid. They had printing.
World War II ones. I had like ones with the Sherman tank and stuff like that. I didn't do any of those.
Sergeant Fury, and I mean, come on.
Yeah, Sergeant Fury, yes, okay. But that's as World War II, not really as a superhero.
Okay, Dakota.
I like DC. Yeah. No.
Why?
Okay, so
there's an important aspect to this, Craig. When you go DC versus Marvel, you have to start looking at the underlying stories that they tell and the characters that they create, not the movies, which were shit for the most part, except for one of the Batmans with Christian Bale. That was started off really well and then went to the shit or two. But anyway,
well, it really I feel that it is, I don't know. So kind of personally, I just think it's better done, right? I mean, except Superman. So I love when Batman. All right, so Batman. All right, you know how everyone flies with Batman, like all these other heroes that can fly and can do all these other things, and it just shows that like, so they could all get there themselves, but they're like, but Batman says, "Hey guys, get in the car. We're going together, right?" And I think that's funny, like, so for me, Batman
and they're wearing
is like
seatbelts in the bat copter, whatever they're flying in, and Superman is wearing a seatbelt. It's crazy.
Yeah, there's ever one guy who didn't need to wear a seatbelt.
Oh man!
Oh my gosh, they are so. I mean, I'm assuming that this hasn't happened, but DC is missing a hell of an opportunity to make some viral videos about superheroes getting in the car. Wear your seatbelt, and Superman's like, "What? Really?" It's like it's illegal. Oh, for fuck's sake!
There you go. No, it's just a thing, like so I think maybe I've just had more exposure to DC, because I liked Batman. I liked the other characters in the DC universe so much because it was a little darker, a little bit grittier, and Marvel, I feel that a lot of it is the suspension of disbelief is just way too high, and that's also why I don't like Superman. But I mean, the rest of it, like they're just like, oh yeah, I do this because not magic, but science. Yes, totally. And so, okay. Come on now.
Okay, so for yours is philosophical, but you touched on an interesting point that is true for a lot of us in that you stayed DC because it existed with character that you liked, Batman, and then you create, and then there were spin-offs where they introduce characters into the Batman ethos and you follow them off into another one. That is very similar to us creating universes in the publishing side. And then so Craig, Dakota, would you guys talk a little bit what y'all think about related to that, creating a universe of characters that break out on it?
Sure. So in terms of so you're saying like collaboration sort of stuff, or having people write in your IP?
Well, absolutely, or just the theory behind, why universe? Because there are a lot of people who maybe don't think about it, and the fact you've got a interesting series. What's next? Because we even have some that we don't consider universes, but they're at least they're joined in some way. In romance, it would be similar because in romance you're supposed to have a book, happily ever after, you're done. The problem is that, of course, that if you want to sell even more, you get them for the next one. So you create a loose amalgamation of all of these firefighters have romances, all of these brothers have romances, and so I'm just curious of y'all's thoughts on that.
So I'm I guess pro doing it. So I have I've seen pretty great success for people coming in to my IP and writing. So with the Artorians Archives, that is the first author on that is Dennis Vanderkerken, and that's I do it kind of the science way. Like first author is the first person who has their name on the book, right? And so like he comes in and he it started a little rough, but over time, like I mean, he's on book 9 right now, and he's well over a 6-figure author in my company based on that, and that's just based on his percentage, right? So that's, I mean, for us, that's really exciting to see, and it's also something we are very careful about, right? So if I am a collaborative author on something, that means I really put a lot of time into making sure that book is ready to go. However, that does take away from my own time. So it's all like with everything else, there's a balance. What we started doing is some of the people that want to write in my IP, in our copyright, are going to come in, and it's going to turn into a created by Dakota Krout. Right. So it's similar to how you guys do that at LMBPN with Michael, because what I did is I hired a lore master. Right. So I hired a person to come in and turn all my books into data that is like literally he's basically a historian for my books. And then he matches up other people's stuff and makes sure that it's not breaking any of the rules, that they're, doing all the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. And that allows me to step away from it. So the hard part about that is it goes from one author or 2 authors. So just 2 authors, me, the other guy, into a lore master, a line editor, a developmental editor, a copy editor, beta reader team, and then ARC reader team. So that's 6 different groups. So maybe 15 to 20 total people. Right. And so it goes from 2 people to maybe 20-ish. So trying to balance even that, you need other people who can manage that. So expanding is hard. Expanding is hard. It is expensive. It is putting a lot of trust in a lot of other people and putting your name on it. And so that's just something to bear in mind, I guess.
It's almost like the Star Wars when it went under Disney. When you put trust in the wrong people, they can destroy your brand. So maintaining that continuity is really important.
Yes.
for any shared universe. I don't think they did it as well as they could have with Amazon, and Amazon has done away with that Kindle shared universe program, probably because it was too hard to manage, and some books got in there that had almost zero to do with the universe. So it's important for that continuity. Dakota has a lore master. Most people just do it themselves. You look at Chris Kennedy, he reads every book that he puts out that comes from his press. It doesn't even need his name on it. And he's reading those books just to make sure that they fit in with the universe, that they fit in with the style, that they're going to relate to the readership. Because you as publishers have to deliver to your readers. And it's not just, hey, write something and throw it out there. I know we've gotten a bad rap on that because we do write fairly quickly, but it's wrong because we are delivering to our readership stuff that we are almost certain that they're going to like. So, and for Dakota and for Michael, I have brought on the project manager for Elder Scrolls 5. He was involved over Elder Scrolls 2, 3, 4, worked his way up on 5. He was the overall manager, as he's written a book called Mischief Maker for me, and will write a trilogy in that series. So, I'll be diving now. He did Elder Scrolls, and you think, oh man, that's cool. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Fantasy with a little game lit. I'm looking forward to get into that. That's not the book he wrote. So we'll be looking at contemporary fantasy and making that. And making. I'm reading it. I'm like, what in the holy? What in the what? And then you get into it. It's like, okay, it's really well written. It's designed. It's robust. It's a robust work, but it's not Elder Scrolls. So
No, it's interesting, but the a part of what we can talk about here, and maybe what we do with another one is just talk about the different aspects of publishing, right? Because the companies themselves will take on the personalities of those that run it. And I am not a person who wants to be in the details. I that's just not who I am personally. I'm not a person who wants to always be out there in front of the fans unless I'm incredibly lonely, in which case I'll do that whole Starbucks situation where, I'll get in and do whatever. I have a lot of things that I'm interested in. So I built, for instance, my infrastructure much more related to what Dakota talked about when you get in there with your editors and your JIT team, your beta team, the promulgation of that. There's some benefits to it. There's some detriments to it. The benefit that I would see for me as a publisher is they are the ones who can read and go, is this similar to what we have put out? And you get multiple voices who've read now hundreds of our books, and they are able to give feedback. Now, sometimes as the publisher, I knew going in, this book does not meet our present area, but it's because I know we need to branch out into other areas. We need to be a part of different genre, post-apocalyptic, dark post-apocalyptic, with magic. We chose to go in that direction. Guess what? Our beta kicked it back. What are you doing? Oh my God, this is nothing like. And we're like, settle down. It's okay. We know. We love you. We're going to ignore you on this one. We knew that. But you have a lot of these discussions, and then you have something where, like Dakota talked about in the collaboration, or the others that read everything in. There's a value to that as well. It's a business decision, or it could be a business decision based on, like me, personality.
Yes.
I'm not going to do that. And so it's all within, and there's no right or wrong way. There's plenty of wrong things to do. We can all agree that there's like, oh, that's a universal mistake, but there's different choices. So I don't want anyone to take away that there's, one right way or wrong way, to accomplish anything. And so if it's working for your company, that is fantastic. It's my opinion.
And that's the right opinion. I mean, typically I tell people that if someone comes to you and says, this is the only way you can do something, then they have a vested interest in you doing that. And that's really all there is to it. And so what I say is, hey, this is how we do things here. If you don't like this, of course, you're free to go with someone who does things in a different way, right? And I really like #probably because, you're not telling them this is definitely the thing that will work. Absolutely do this thing. No, it's hey, here is something that works based on the data that we have and what we've seen in our marketplaces. And if it works for you, awesome. But it might just be working for us because it started by working for us and it just kept going.
Mhm.
So just hard to say. Yeah.
Go with what you know, and do what works for you. And that's 20 books as a whole. That's what we do. Just here's a big smorgasbord, pick and choose, and try something. If it doesn't work, try something else, because there's always something else to try.
Exactly.
And then, is there anything new that you guys have seen before we kind of wrap this up, related to marketing? Anything new that people might take a gleam, or publishing, or anything that you see what's going on in the market that you'd like to share as a gem for those who've stuck with us till the end?
Sure. So I have seen an enormous amount of people, authors, who are self-published, authors who are with other companies, who don't recognize the value of doing the audiobook, right? So it might not work for every genre, right? There are some genres that are more audio heavy than others, but I would recommend really seriously looking into it. If there isn't a big market currently, what if you put your stuff out and you become the first person to really hit it off in that genre and spark the interest of all of the readership? Like that there's a power in being first. Like, look into new ways to have your books out. Like, I don't know. I see about 1% total sale is paperbacks, right? But that's 1% of my reader population buying paperbacks. So have more variation items, have hardcovers if you can have them, have don't just focus in entirely on one thing. Just make sure that the variety is there for people who want the variety. And while it's expensive, while it is a risk, if you have it and they want it, they buy it, right? So
yeah, always buy the full wrap everything when you get a cover. Just get all of it together.
Yeah.
I would say some of the newest lesson that I am embracing more fully is what we started off with, and that was reader relationship.
Yep.
As an indie, there's not, especially as a prolific indie, if you write one book a year, a reader relationship is important, but you're going to have to do a lot of marketing in order to touch noses and get that book across a broader span. What you want is, when you establish a readership, you want them to buy all your books and having that relationship. And that this year I was going to go with the concierge service with Amazon and spend a lot of money with them. And instead I'm spending no money on that effort and investing the time for that reader relationship. I'm doing 2 giveaways a month, K-bars and I mean, just everything. I'm going through my garage. I found a parachute from a Soyuz capsule, for Christ's sake. I mean, the stuff I left Russia with should be illegal. Diplomatic immunity. All right. But I've got all this stuff in my garage, and I'm like, what the hell am I going to do with this? So yeah, a parachute from a Soyuz capsule. Talk about a good space opera stuff. So that's going to go in a giveaway. Hey, there's this, it's the piece that came out of the capsule to pull the other big parachutes out. So that lead parachute, I've got one. And somebody, a reader, will get that as part of a giveaway. So I will be doing these things in order to touch more noses and develop a closer relationship with the readers, because when it comes down to it, as any author, the most important relationship you can have is readers that like your work. And it helps them to like your work if they like you too. If they don't like you, it's hard to sell them a book. So let's make it work for both of us in that regard. So those are my closing remarks.
Yep. And the relational marketing is so important because, like, as you're saying, how many times will someone go out and see a book and the first thing they see is the author's name, right? Like, literally, big name authors are big name authors because their name is the largest thing on the dang cover, right? And it's the thing that's important to the fans of that author is not the book itself. It's the fact that the author that they love to read, their name is on that book. And so make yourself the thing that you are selling in a legal way, and get your fans invested in you as a person. Set up your own personal brand and put that out there. right? So for me, I really strive, like Michael said, to be as nice as possible because there's just no point in being mean to people. Two, puns are my big jam. Awkward stammering is a big thing in public, and then and coffee, right? So those are my big things. And if I can get people who like that part of me, and I can get them invested in me, Dakota Krout, I can put out a Dakota Krout book, and they're happy to read it because they like me. And the same can be true. How many times have you seen someone be like, "Man, he wrote a great book, but I've just seen how he treats people or how they act in person, and I just want nothing to do with that guy," And yeah, I mean, just recognize that what you're selling is a brand. It is you, the brand, not just a book. If you're selling a book, that's really hard to have a successful author career on. So
yeah. I'm going to go through a couple of these questions real quick before I do mine.
Sure.
First one is, will they see another Wolfman Warlock book, Dakota?
It's being written right now. My schedule.
We can't see it or your head.
Oh, well, yeah. Sorry, it's yeah. My schedule is just a giant thing. But I am working on. I should be working on getting that ready for publication in March is when I'm going to be working on it. I don't know what the actual pre-order date or the publication date of that is going to be, but it should be pretty quick. Yeah.
All right. Now you've sparked a lot of comments related to the lore master. And so there's, they love the name, they love the idea. There's one question here from the Eponymous Facebook user. I'd love to hear any thoughts on World Anvil for those that have not yet. I don't even know what that is.
We use World Anvil. Yeah.
You do or have?
We do.
You do.
Yeah. So World Anvil is nice because it essentially lets you set up timelines, landscapes, and just kind of keep it's like the GitHub of books almost. Like someone can update it. It's like a Wikipedia maybe, where people can go and get that information directly. And we do have one. It's not available for like public viewing because it has a lot of the carefully crafted stuff that shows like the back end, how we handle things. And I mean, what is a company but the system of the company, right? So it just kind of hard to put out in public. But yeah, the books themselves, we do use World Anvil. We also use hang on, what's this one called? Something that I personally use because that's like company one, but the one I use when I get started is GM Binder, right? So it's just like kind of making a D&D style looking book, like PDF versions that you just kind of that one's a little harder to get going on because you kind of need at least passing knowledge of HTML to make it work. But for me, it makes me have really pretty information that I can, at a glance, pull up a sheet of paper and know what is supposed to be in the book. So GM Binder is a really good one. For personal use, I would say World Anvil is really great for group usage. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I agree with Vinny, peanut brittle over Soyuz, but probably you won't be able to go to your garage and get really cool shit like a Soyuz capsule parachute to give away. You might have to go to eBay and buy the one that one off of there, and then give that away.
Yeah, and to answer, I've got Michael frozen up here, and to answer Zeri's question, both. I use Amazon for exclusive paperback to Amazon. And then I use Gingham Spark for everything else to include wide distro. So don't put yourself in a corner where you think you have to use one or the other. Use both, man. Both.
So there's that. And while my 2021 has a lot more with me doing back to the creative officer of the company as opposed to all the different hats I was wearing. We hired in that creative. Create Space versus Ingram Spark. We hired the person who created Ingram Spark for Ingram, Robin Cutler. So we tend to be a little leaning toward, if you will, Ingram Spark for that reason, sure. I would bet. Every answer is now Ingram Spark. Whether it's
Both.
necessarily true or not. But I think also, we've seen the value of pre-orders. Now, we also do a lot of books, but I think that it would be appropriate for even those that don't put out as many books. That pre-orders have a lot of value that you become aware of after you're doing them, going, "Holy crap, this really made this easier," and you didn't ever consider that it would.
Mhm.
So, we've been changing our structure around here at LMBPN to where we're looking at books coming in 28 days before release. They used to be a lot less. And that's 1 week for beta reading. That's 2 weeks for editing and JIT. And then that leaves us 7 days, the 7th day beforehand, to get it up, the final document, because it's due 5 days from Amazon. So that gives us
Mhm.
48 hours of, oh crap, what happened? If we have that. Normally we don't. And then the book is up 7 days before, and Bob's your uncle. And then, it's nice. Craig hit #1 in the company the other day, and he knew that in advance because of the pre-orders of his book.
Nice. Congrats, man. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that would be mine. But also, I agree with what Craig has said, and then I guess what Dakota's done from the beginning, that there's a huge amount of value of being close to your fans.
Mhm.
And hopefully with my 2021, I'll get a chance to do more of that. That's it.
All right,
Craig.
That's right.
Hey, thank you everybody for listening. We've got Dakota. I think we've got a session set up on the 20th with. Do we have Robin?
Yes.
Is she coming back on, or okay?
Yes.
We have Robin Cutler on. Talk so more specifically, if you want to talk Ingram Spark, as well as just business management and relationship and some folks that she knows and just things that she knows, having been in the industry pretty much her entire adult life. So she knows things and has forgotten things that we would be amazed to know. So see you next time. That's the 20th of February for that one. We'll try to have a session in between.
And sign up if you care to. 20 Books Vegas.
Woo.
20 Books Vegas 2021 Bollies on the Strip. It is going to be a total bash. It's where all the cool kids will be. All right, everybody. You have a great day.
Take care.